Hello, and you're very welcome to episode 290 of Treaty Talk. Tom Clancy, joined as ever by the Weekly Observer and Vale Star newspaper reporter Matt O'Callaghan. Matt, how's the form?
The form couldn't be better.
Well, we'll get into why. Don't lose the surprise now.
Any podcast in which we're talking are going to be speaking in the main about Limerick winning in All Ireland.
Yes,
and to put the real cream on it, and nay All Ireland.
Yes, and All Ireland. We're going to
I will be very happy, and I'm very happy that we have a very special guest on, coming on there in after the intro.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, Diarmuid Ryan is about to join us. We're going to be talking Camogie first. We'll then discuss plenty of hurling and indeed football and everything else around Gaelic games in Limerick after that. But first, let's talk Camogie.
The impression of the game you get out with what you put into it's like a walk of life. If you're good enough, go out and get it, no more about it.
Not so much control in the centre of the field from Kilkenny as Richie Bennett sends it high and over the bar.
Your mother sends you down to the shop for a pound's worth of goods and she gives you 50 pence. You can't get the pound's worth of goods, can you?
Just about kept in. Oh, well done, Johnny Buckley. To do that to Tomas O'Shea, he deserves to score from here. One of the highlights of the Sunday game.
Limerick went out there from the word go today. No more about it. They made all the running, that was it. Put the ball over the bar and the back of it, and that's it. No ifs, no buts.
Is there much time left? We have a couple of injuries. Here comes Kieran Carey. Carey leading the charge of the right brigade. 45 metres out. He's a chance to score. He's put it high.
There's no sympathy in this game for anybody.
Yes, indeed. So let's start by bringing in Diarmuid Ryan, Limerick under-16A Camogie manager. Diarmuid, first of all, from myself and Matt, many congratulations to you and all connected with the under-16 panel. I don't know, were you aware? I've been since made aware Limerick are the first county to win this championship for the first time since 1995. So it has been, I suppose, it's been a close pack of counties maybe that has won it in the intervening 29 or 30 years. But Limerick now on the roll of honour. That must be very, very satisfying for you and the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, lads, and thanks for giving the girls all the coverage over the last while. I know they really appreciate it. It's been great to have it. Yeah, we're all thrilled with how it went into the end.
The game itself, you win it by a point, very, very tight down in Nolan Park, and you know, maybe the tight ones are the sweet ones as well. But I think maybe it shows, certainly from the outside looking in, it shows the character that's in the group, because, you know, it's probably easy for everyone when things are going well for everyone to be going well, as it were. But, you know, when things are tight and tense, you need players to step up and deliver. And obviously you managed to do that. So the tight victory as well must be satisfying in terms of from a managerial point of view.
Yeah, absolutely. We had an awful lot of tight games, and I suppose that's the nature of the division that we were in. You know, a lot of the teams were fairly even, and you know, there's massive character in the group. You know, we'd no fear that if we were in the mix coming down the home stretch, we'd have a right go off it. So yeah, absolutely, they're a great group and a brilliant group to work with.
Matt, you were at the game, and it must have been. You were telling me before we started how delighted you were. Silverware, very hard to come by at any grade. Very hard to come by for Limerick Camogie in the last few years. But I mean, this is magic for a very young and talented group.
Yeah, I must congratulate Diarmuid and his management team. They did an excellent job in not only honing the skills of the players, but inculcating into them a sense of belief that, you know, that they were never going to give up. And I was very, very happy to witness it in both the semi-final and the semi-final and final, which in many ways mirrored one another, in that Limerick had to dig extremely deep on both occasions and find the resolve, maybe when other teams would have died, to come out on top. But I'd like to ask Diarmuid, how does the tag of an All-Ireland winning manager sit with you?
I hadn't thought too much about it, Matt, to be honest with you. But no, look, the credit is really due to the players. You know, we've had massive support. Obviously, our own group of coaches and even the S&C and Dunedin Athletics, we've had lots of support throughout the year. But the players have done everything they've asked to do. The attendance record of training has been absolutely brilliant. You know, all throughout the year we've had fantastic attendance at training. They're an easy group to work with and be involved with. They take direction very easily, and they work things out themselves as well. You know, they're able to problem solve. They're able to see what's in front of them a lot of the time, and you know, it's not all just coming from the coaches. They're a right good, really resilient group, and a pleasure to work with. You know,
Dermot, you're undisputed kings of under 16.
Queens, Matt. Queens.
Queens, Matt. Yeah, come on.
Because I'll tell you why. I'll justify it. Munster champions beat Cork. All-Ireland Championship beat Kilkenny and Galway. The three main teams that have been winning this competition. Nobody can argue about it. But I suppose possibly the seeds of it were sown last year when you won the Munster Championship for the first time. I suppose there was a certain amount of belief and confidence derived from that, Dermot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we looked at our model last year. We'd spoken to coaches from Cork and Galway, and 16, I suppose the fact that there's no under 20 or under 21 grade in Camogie, 16 is kind of the last step in underage before they go on. I know there's minor, but minor, you know, all the girls are playing adult Camogie at that stage. And we'd done a lot of research around what other counties were doing or what the top counties were doing. And I think the fact that we had pulled in some of the younger girls that were still under 15 last year, it really stood to us this year. They had the experience of playing in an under 16 championship, a proper championship grade. You know, it's not a development year. And, you know, it worked really, really well. Those girls did really well this year, along with all the whole panel. Now, don't get me wrong, they didn't drive it on by themselves or anything like that. But I think the model we had has worked really, really well. The seeds were definitely sown last year. The Munster Championship last year was a massive boost. We knew the group last year were really, really strong. We had some fantastic leaders, a really good group, and then with the younger girls as well. And getting over the line against Cork was huge last year. Now, we were actually very competitive for a lot of the All-Ireland Championship last year, even though we only won one game out of the 5 group games, but we still felt for most of those games, bar maybe the last day in Wexford, we had played really, really well. So, yeah, it was definitely a brilliant platform for this year. No doubt about it, you know.
Diarmuid, I should say, can I just show you a photo? I'm sure you've seen it yourself, and it epitomises the emotion maybe on Saturday. For those listening now, you'll have to bear with us, but you're there, I suppose, centre right or front right, and obviously the panel there, and I suppose it sums up the emotion and everything of an All-Ireland final. And I think maybe it sums up as well the extended panel. You know, if you look at the faces of the young players back there, and you know, some of them obviously unfortunately didn't see game time on the day, but everyone's invested. Everyone wanted Limerick to win, and you know, and I suppose you have to develop that culture as well of a team spirit and a real togetherness. And maybe one photo is only one photo, but like maybe, you know, you could let us into that. How did you develop a real team ethos around this group?
Yeah, as you say, it's a brilliant photo, Tom. It's great to see the emotion in everyone's faces. It's great because it came good in the end, but you just see how, as you said, they're so invested and so engaged with the whole thing. From our perspective, it's been a brilliant group. You know, they're a really tight group. There's some great friends, and you know, sometimes you can have groups with little cliques, and you know, some people might get on with others. There's none of that whatsoever in our panel. I suppose really, really important to, you know, as you alluded to there, some of the girls didn't get a run on Saturday and didn't get, you know, we weren't able to use our full complement of 8 subs in every game, and we've 30 on the panel, but none of this would have happened without the 30 girls in the panel. You know, we've, you know, 29 girls that saw game time. I said it after the game on Saturday. We have a sub goalkeeper who I think would probably start with most other counties. She's a terrific keeper as well. And you know, without all of those players, the competition at training and the way they've driven each other on, none of this would have been possible. You know, the standards have been really, really high, and they're the standards that we tried to set, but ultimately the players set themselves. The way they attack training, the way they go after things has been absolutely brilliant. I
can ask you as well about, you know, under 16, you mentioned it. It's kind of like the minor for the male side of the house. I get your analogy there in terms of maybe when the players are gone to minor in Camogie, that they're, as you said, they're playing adult, and you know, different factors come into it as well. But is it right for us to, you know, to kind of pause at this moment and look at this as an achievement, look at this in its solidarity really as one moment in time? Because we can get guilty in the media, myself and Matt, and you can get guilty of running away with things and saying, oh geez, Limerick are coming now on Camogie, and look, they've 5 or 6 stars off this team. And do we need to pause sometimes and actually enjoy this one and let the players enjoy it? Because I suppose that group of 30 may never be together in the same dressing room again and all that, So do we need to just pause for a minute and kind of reflect on, beating, I think, is it 15-time winners, Galway, and as Matt said, beating the other counties along the way. We need to enjoy that for what it is at the moment.
It's a good point. It's a good point, absolutely. The girls had a brilliant day and night on Saturday, and you'd hope that they're really relishing what they've achieved. And as you said, there's never any guarantee that this will translate into minor or senior success, or junior or whatever level the girls go on and play. But you would hope it is a good platform. But absolutely, they need to enjoy what they've achieved. It's an under-16 championship, but it is a really big thing for Limerick Camogie, and the girls went out there and drove it on themselves for most of the year, and they should really be satisfied with what they've done.
Yeah, and if we can look at the other side of the coin, Limerick Camogie has certainly had its ups and downs. We were talking before we started recording about 2014, a superb year for the county. I suppose what we need now, and look, not every one of these players will play out of Camogie for Limerick. I think that's possible, or it's fairly likely that that's not going to be the case. But do we need a case now of a real continuity of, I guess, the good quality coaches, the guys like the guys you worked with? We need good quality coaches for them at 16s minor. We need the players to see a real steady pathway, and I suppose they need to have the best of everything available to them as much as possible, because players can get disillusions with the game. I think if you rewind 15 or 20 years in all codes, really, the preparation wasn't what it is now, but players now expect more as well. So I suppose players their expectations need to be met, and I guess that's the trick now for Limerick Camogie at all grades, really, is to to deliver the best that they can, given the resources available to them for all their players, because we're kind of gleefully looking at Waterford in their resurgence. We're looking at Tipperary at the moment, Galway, Kilkenny, Cork, as we always refer to, and we're kind of saying, how do we get there? But I guess there has to be a framework around it. The players are probably there, but I guess sometimes you need to build it up around them as well for them to find their true potential.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said there, Tom. And I suppose the key thing you touched on, I suppose, is resources. I would say, it's not a secret that maybe Camogie and maybe less so ladies football, but definitely Camogie wouldn't have the same breadth of resources as the GA would have, and whether that's people to get involved, the right facilities, access to facilities. It is a challenge, especially during those winter months, and when you need lights, when everyone is competing for the same resources or the same facilities. It's definitely a challenge, and I know you've got a few kind of dedicated people trying to work and do an awful lot of work in the background, but it's a huge challenge, no doubt about it. In terms of preparation and getting teams ready, absolutely. I think when teams are shown or given the right resources and given the right direction, like Limerick have enough Camogie players at every level to be really, really competitive. It's just about keeping those girls involved, keeping them engaged, keeping them motivated, and you really hope over the next few years that can come to fruition. Like Waterford, I think, have had fantastic success from off the back of a few really successful underage teams, Tip as well. So look, as I said, there's never any guarantee that this could translate to senior or even minor next year or in 2 years. There's no guarantee. You do need buy-in. You need buy-in from players, parents, county board. You need resources. There's an awful lot of pieces to the puzzle that need to fit together for things to come good.
Yeah, and just talk to me about before I let Matt come back in a sec, but just where did you train, and who's been kind to you this year? Because as you said, the GA and Camogie at the moment anyway are separate entities. So I suppose you kind of have to knock on doors at times, I guess, to unlock things. So who's facilitated yourselves this season?
We'd actually take wherever's available. St. Pat's have been very good to us throughout the year. St. Pat's and Rabogue. We spent time in UL. We actually spent a lot of time training in Glenroo's facility, and they have a fabulous new floodlit Astro facility that when the weather was bad, they were able to get on. Recently, we've been in McNeville and Rathkeil. It's kind of a mixed bag. We were in Tournafulla. The list kind of goes on. Fedamore, it's where Ballybrick and wherever has been available. And that's the challenge, I'll be honest. Trying to get a venue for training is not easy. I suppose from our perspective, there isn't even a coordinated approach for all the age grades, it is a real challenge. And we're reliant on the goodwill of clubs and ourselves when it's wet, especially in around February, March, April. It can be very, very difficult to get on a field, and there's a lot of work goes on to try to get it organised.
Yeah, Matt.
That's one part of the logistics of preparing a team. But could you give us a sense of what would be typical preparation coming up to a match? Because sometimes there's a misconception out there that preparation for men's sport is much greater than ladies' sport, which is totally untrue, of course. But could you give us a sense of the level of preparation that was needed, we'll say, for the last 4 or 5 weeks?
Well, I'd go back, Matt, to maybe last November, December. We the girls first in with Atlas, S&C and the Dock Road, and it was the first real exposure. I know the GA side of the house, and it's something Camogie will have to look at, but I know the GA side of the house would have their academy players in at under 14. Unfortunately, we didn't have that resource, but this year we were fairly insistent that if they were going to be competitive, we would need some S&C with the girls throughout the year. And it's been a massive, massive benefit. Not only, of course, the S&C side of it, but the girls really seem to enjoy the Monday nights in Atlas and the Dock Road. The girls would train 3 days, the match the weekend. There's been massive preparation gone into the girls over the last number of weeks. We'd have trained S&C Monday, training Tuesday, Thursday, games on Saturday or Sunday. It's I suppose we're all drawing on our own experiences of having been involved with different teams and played with our own clubs and that, and you'll be trying to drive standards as best you can. But absolutely, I would dispel any notion that they're not preparing in the same way that other codes would. Yeah.
The day of the semi-final, going to Mallow, Diarmuid, Limerick and Kilkenny, Cork and Galway. Limerick were rank outsiders, you would have to say, of the 4. I met one of your management team, Kevin O'Connor, and we were speaking before it, and he must have got the feeling that I was expecting Kilkenny to win. And he said, look, Matt, we're here to win. Well, where did that sort of confidence and belief come from?
Well, I tell you, Matt, we've been very competitive with every team we've played throughout the year. We had a really good Munster Championship, won the Munster Championship again. We started the All-Ireland well, and we played Kilkenny in a round-robin game in Newcastle West in May, I think it was middle of May. And we were beaten by 4 points, but we actually felt we had left an awful lot behind us on the day. There was an awful lot that maybe we didn't do as well as we felt we could have. And, we felt there was massive room for improvement, and we had really gone after that improvement. As it happened, the following week in Cappamore, we got a trimming from Cork. It just didn't go maybe the way we expected, but we had actually played really well in the first half against Cork. A few silly things went against us. We were down a few players as well. And during that, the way the championship works, we played 3 matches, it breaks for the junior circuit, and then you're back afterwards. We had done an awful lot of work with the girls. We went up to Ballinasloe, played Galway in a game that we felt we could have won. We drew, unlucky to draw, and then we beat Dublin to make sure we were in the semi-final. And we just felt, of the 4 teams, people maybe looking at results, people were underestimating us, and we really felt if we could perform to the level of intensity that we knew we could, the level of intensity that we'd seen in training in the lead up to the game, that we'd be thereabouts, and that proved to be the case.
Can I turn to a little thorny subject, Dermot, if you don't mind? And just to remind viewers that at least 5 of your players that started in the semi-final, and I'd say up to 8 of your panel, were involved 24 hours earlier in the All-Ireland Under-16C football final. In my view, in a nutshell, this thing shouldn't happen. But how did you juggle the commitments of the dual players during the course of the year?
I suppose it's a big challenge, and you're trying not to butt heads with other managements who are putting the same level of effort in as we are, but it is very difficult when girls are training maybe 5-6 nights a week. They could have a camogie match on a Saturday and a football match on a Sunday. It's very, very difficult. You're trying to balance and make sure they're not overloaded, but I suppose particularly in the lead up to that semi-final, we had to mind our own house and make sure that they were being prepared properly. And it just limited us as to what we could do that week. We weren't really able to maybe go after the same level of intensity, particularly maybe that specific week that we would have liked, because we were worried. Obviously, football are looking at our training hard, and so were we. But playing the game the day before was a bit of a disaster from our perspective. We were very concerned around injuries or knocks, but also just naturally, the fatigue in the legs that you would have playing football. There's a lot of running involved, and we were concerned. But we kind of knew then on the Sunday morning below in Mallow that for whatever reason, there was a bit of a pep in everyone's step. The warm-up was really, really good. There didn't seem to be any signs of that fatigue. And as luck would have it, it came good. But I would agree with you that it is a big challenge. And hopefully over time, when the two associations kind of come together, that kind of coordination could be handled a bit better,
But would you agree, Diarmuid, that it shouldn't be necessary for the integration to happen to prevent this from happening?
I would agree, and I'm not sure.
I think Diarmuid's connection has just dropped on his mat, but
He's back.
He's back. Sorry, Diarmuid.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. You're back in the room. Yeah, continue there.
I was just answering that question around the communication between the associations. Absolutely, I think it shouldn't need to be integrated for the two to work maybe slightly better together. But again, I'm not close enough to understand it as well as maybe I should be. But it's, I'd imagine there should be conversations happening all the time, and those fixtures shouldn't land on the same weekend, definitely.
Tom?
Yeah, Diarmuid, just something that popped up there in my head when you were discussing about the panel. You mentioned junior cert. Now, we'd forget how young, obviously they're under 16, but we'd forget maybe where in their life they are in terms of obviously not even sat the junior cert really in many cases, I'm sure. How do you, you're trying to treat them as obviously adults, but how do you keep it, I suppose, fun and not all too serious? It's a long year in a lot of ways, but how do you find that balance? And I know John Kiley with the famous story of bringing in the ice cream van now, and I don't know, would you get an ice cream van to go to Glenrue in the springtime? But how have you managed to keep it fresh?
I won't answer that, Tom.
Yeah, and how have you managed to keep it fresh and keep the girls, and have those fun? And do you have activity days out, or how do you balance it all up? There's
a variety of different things. Yeah, there's a variety of things we've done throughout the year. David. Yoga, and we'd be very conscious of playing different games and training. It's not all, high intensity training. You'd be trying to do different things. And we did have an ice cream van not so long ago right out in McNeville and Rathkeil, and you're trying to keep it fresh like that and make sure that they're enjoying it. I suppose that is the key thing, that they're under 16, and of course you're trying to develop them all as hurlers, and you're trying to really bring them on, and it's nice to win. Don't get me wrong, it's absolutely brilliant, but it's not the be all and end all. And I would hope that the vast majority of players would say, hopefully every player, and I think it's true to say that they really enjoyed the year, and I think they had great crack even afterwards. Before and after sessions, there was a kind of a hum of conversation all the time. There was always a bit of chatter, and they seemed to really enjoy it. And I suppose that's the biggest satisfaction I think we as a management team would take from it,
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I just popped this up on screen, Matt. Sorry, I'll let you in, Matt, in a sec. But look at the glee, I think, down in Nolan Park. Everyone hands aloft, silver aloft. I think a photo, I'm sure it'll be appearing on many a mantelpiece around the county for maybe parents, aunts, grandparents, and all the rest of it. Fantastic to see. Sorry, Matt, you just wanted to pop back in there.
Yeah, Diarmuid, I don't like singling out individuals, but from what I heard among the Kilkenny press and among the Galway press and other people, they were absolutely gobsmacked by the performance of our captain and fullback.
Yeah,
I believe a very special player among others,
For sure, absolutely. And Orna was actually one of the girls you mentioned who played the football as well and juggled both, and just one of these naturally athletic, really, really strong players. In fairness to her, she's a good leader in the group, and you'd have seen her there in Mallow and in Nolan Park on Saturday. She's just, there was someone said before, she's like a heat-seeking missile to the ball. It seems to come her way all the time. She's always in the right place at the right time, and that's kind of not really something you can coach. You know, she's just a fantastic player. Absolutely.
Yeah. Can I ask the pertinent question? What now for Diarmuid Ryan?
Well, after Kilkee now, Costa del Kilkee for a bit of sunshine, hopefully, Matt. That's all that's on the mind at the moment. I'll be helping out with different teams in the PIHC under 7s and the under 16 Camogie, and playing a small bit of football and different bits and pieces. But I don't know. We'll worry about next year and whether we decide to do anything next year or not. We'll try to figure that out and down the line.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a personal question? 75
anyway.
minutes into the Limerick Kilkenny game, coming up to the last puck, a certain Caitlin Ryan stands up to a free 75 metres out. What was going through your head?
You know, it is difficult when it's your own daughter involved, but you know, you kind of have this sinking feeling and a dread in early times going, Japers, I just hope it goes right for her. In fairness to Caitlin, she actually put over the winner against Kilkenny there from way out the field. She's good on the frees. She's well able to strike the ball. She's a good slap of the ball, and she has experience of kind of taking frees in big moments. Even though she had missed an awful free actually early in the second half. I don't know, the wind kind of swirled. Yeah. But in fairness,
I actually don't remember it because the game is defined by her last one.
Yeah. But no, look, in fairness, you know, there are actually loads of girls on the team that can hit frees very well, but Caitlin has always stepped up, and she, you know, she's naturally self-confident and well able to strike them. So, you know, you'd be nervous because it is a big moment in the game. You'd have been nervous whoever was taking it, and whether it was, you know, a senior player or not. It was just one of those high-pressure moments. But in fairness to her, she's cool as a breeze a lot of the time, and it's the right way to be, I suppose. A lot cooler than I would be, you know.
What about Maya Smith's final?
Yeah, Mia was brilliant. Mia actually, you know, we looked at the Kilkenny game and we figured that we'd have to finish really, really strong against Kilkenny, and we left Mia on the bench, and she came on, she did well, she got a point and she won a free, and we just felt physically Galway would be that bit stronger and we'd have to go after them from the start, and Mia from the get-go, she was on it. You know, she's again, self-confidence very high. She'll always take on a shot. She's not worried about difficulty or only shooting when she knows it's a sure thing. Mia will have a go, and you know, to get 5 points and play in an All-Ireland final, not easily done. So yeah, fair play to her. She's brilliant.
And what about the performance of Tara Hines, who almost lived in Emma Barrett's ear? Because in my view, Emmett Barrett was a threat after watching the Cork Galway game.
That's right.
Certainly, Tara.
Yeah, actually, Tara. When we played Galway up in Ballinasloe, Tara ended up doing a job on Emma Barrett from Galway. She was, you know, Tara's one of these real unique kind of players where you see she's playing cornerback, but she could be the best player in the field week in, week out. She's just in the right place at the right time. She attacks the ball. She knows how to defend, and she's also well able to strike. She's really athletic. She was brilliant in the semi-final. Probably my player of the match in the semi-final. We had her on. I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of the Kilkenny full forward with the red helmet. But that girl had scored maybe 7 or 8 goals.
The feeling girl.
That's right. Yeah. She had destroyed us in Newcastle West actually, and Tara completely nullified her below in Mallow. And we knew again that, you know, if we were going to beat Galway, we'd need Tara, you know, to follow Emma Barrett everywhere. Now Galway actually brought her out midfield for the second half, and we left Tara back, and you know, again, she picked up whoever the other Galway forward was that was really lively, and she's one of these girls, she'd snuff out any danger, you know, and she backs herself all the time to go after the ball. She's not second guessing herself at all, you know. She's great with stuff.
Yeah, because I honestly thought in Galway's victory over Cork that Emma Barrett played a huge part when she came out, apart from the fortuitous goal, but she was involved in an awful lot of ball.
Yeah, and you know, she's big, strong hurler, really, really good. She was excellent against us in the first half in Ballinasloe. We'd seen her below in Mallow. We knew about her. You know, we had a plan. You know, part of it underage is not to get too bogged down with systems, but just to get your matchups right. And we knew Tara would be the right girl to go after. Emma Barrett, you know, she's she's never going to be outpaced or out-hurled by anyone, and as I said, she'll back herself all the time. So no, it was great, and absolutely I should say our back six as a unit, all year have been immensely solid, very difficult to score against. They're a really, really good group.
But at the end of the day, it's huge credit to every one of the squad and the management team, Diarmuid. There's no question at all about it. It was a totally collective effort right from start to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, there's 30 girls on the panel there, and they've driven each other on. We talk about this girl or that girl or the start back six, but there's players almost every bit as good as them on the bench that can really that have contributed and have driven those girls on massively. So yeah, we'd be thrilled with the group as a whole.
Well, yeah. Well, we must again reiterate our congratulations, Diarmuid, to you and all connected. Hopefully your daughter will forgive you now for mentioning that free, and hopefully you all get a well-deserved break down in Kilkee. And don't be afraid to remind the banner that there's a bit of silverware in Limerick too at All-Ireland level. So, Diarmuid, thanks a million for your time. I'm sure we'll chat again soon, and best wishes going forward.
Thanks very much, Diarmuid.
Now, so many thanks to Diarmuid Ryan for joining us on Treaty Talk. Yeah, Matt, a real collective effort, I think, as you said there.
Yeah, hugely collective effort, and it is like John Kiley being the glue that pulls the whole thing together with the senior hurling team. Diarmuid Ryan is doing the same with the under-16 Camogie team. And just to remind viewers and listeners, that this is a unique bunch of players because Limerick for so long at underage Camogie have been cannon fodder for the big counties. And you must remember they were Munster champions for the first time in 2023. They retained the Munster title this year and went on to win the All-Ireland final.
Yeah.
So in the space of just over 12 months, they have 3 major pieces of silverware picked up. And in that time, this year in particular, they have beaten the big 3. Cork in the Munster final, Kilkenny in the All-Ireland semi-final, and Galway, who have been under 16A champions 15 times.
Yeah.
They were going for their 16th title the other day, and Limerick were going for their first. But happily, Limerick stopped them in their tracks.
Yeah, no sweet 16 for Galway on this occasion anyway.
No, they have to wait another year at least anyway.
At least, yeah. But I think you're right in terms of, we need to highlight that the glass ceiling, I guess, is broken in terms of, winning at this level, and to win 3 out of 4 competitions, as it were, in the last, I suppose, 18 months. That's some going from a group of players. I suppose kind of 2 groups or a group and a half, as it were, because obviously some players who've contributed very well last year now overage as well, but their efforts, I suppose, in making those first steps, certainly not forgotten at this point. Okay, well, congratulations.
It's a major step for Limerick Camogie. There isn't a question about it. There are some outstanding players in it.
Yeah, I suppose.
Without exception, I could name the 15 of them even. They're like, you'd Eva Cleary, Abigail Buckley, Evelyn O'Connor, Hazel O'Sullivan Hunt, the O'Grady sisters, the daughters of Natal, there was Anna Mae Benson from the PIHC, Aoife Morrissey, goalkeeper, Emma Doherty, you could name them all besides the one I named. They all made a huge Cora Long from Tournafulla made a huge contribution. Like Hazel Horgan, from Newcastle West, Caitlin, as I said, Diarmuid's daughter. They were an exceptional bunch, but you can have an exceptional bunch, but if they're not properly coached and focused, they're more likely to underachieve.
Yeah. Well.
But I could see from the start how well coached and focused. And that remark, I think, from Kevin O'Connor, that's why I asked the question. I think it summed it up.
Yeah, the belief that's instilled. Well, congratulations to all. I'm sure we'll be hearing plenty more of some of those names in the years to come. So I'm sure they'll enjoying their victory and indeed the break now after all that traipsing across the county in the last few months. Matt, we must move on, and matters arising, I guess, from last Sunday in GAHQ, Croke Park. We must congratulate our neighbours in Clare, their 5th All-Ireland Senior hurling championship title. But first, we must congratulate our own Johnny Murphy on what I would consider a very, very good performance over 90 plus minutes of hurling. Plenty of people taking snipes from the sideline since, but I must say he officiated this game to a very, very high standard indeed, and contributed to arguably one of the greatest All-Ireland finals of any, I suppose, any generation or any time, really.
Yeah. Well, those people that are taking snipes just get lost, please.
Yeah.
Because it was a performance from the referee for the ages. And I'm not being biased now on that. But Johnny Murphy and his officials were absolutely outstanding on Sunday. And they played no small part in it being one of the greatest finals of one of the greatest finals of all time. Now you say, why don't I think Limerick are one of the greatest finals of all time? Because our opposition every day we turned up and couldn't live with us.
Yeah, that's it. It takes two to tango for the greatest finals, Yeah. Well, it takes three, I guess, as you are. Yeah, it takes three in terms of officials. Well, I suppose there's the lads, the Limerick contingent on the day. Johnny, of course, centre, leading it, and we mustn't forget the exertions, Matt. Okay, look, there was a 65 missed, and there was this missed, or missed is the wrong word, but I'm sure if the lads had all the replays and everything, they'd have amended those decisions, as it were. But look, they had one view and one view only. And what I will say as well is people forget, with 90 plus minutes of hurling, right? Johnny was expected to be on the Clare 20, and then he's expected to be on the Cork 20.
Yeah.
He couldn't be substituted. Now, I suppose you could argue, he could have been, but he couldn't be substituted. Like, it doesn't happen. Like, Clare used 8 subs, I think. Cork used 8, or one of them used 9 and one of them used 8. It was 17 subs anyway made over the course of 90 minutes. And I tell you, the referee doesn't get a break. He has to go up and down there. He can't go in and stand inside full forward and let his team make him out. Let's look at this realistically. And he did get a bang to the head as well.
He got a knock in the middle of it.
Yeah, he did. And even if anyone sees that play again, then people will think we're apologists for him. But look, he got a bang to the head, and he got up within a second because he was following the ball and he wanted to see what was happening. He didn't want to stop the game, because if he stopped the game there, was it Clare in the attack at that stage, there would have been consternation. He let it go, ball went over the bar, then he stopped the game and got a bit of treatment for his head. I tell you, we'll be, the next time we see a better refereeing performance in All-Ireland final, I can't wait to see it, because
I can't wait to see it either. The long and the short of it, the top and the bottom of this was an outstanding performance by Johnny Murphy and his 4 officials: Jim Hickey, Mike Mead, Andy Dooley, and Jimmy Barry Murphy. Well done, lads.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I suppose following in a tradition of prior Limerick referees to officiate the big showpiece, and hopefully he won't be doing it next year because Limerick will be back. But
I said that to him actually last week. When I was congratulating him, I said, "I'm disappointed you're getting it, because I was hoping we'd be in it."
Yeah. Just briefly, and I'm conscious now we've matters more locally to attend to, but the game itself, we mentioned how good a game it was, and look, I suppose Clare, in my opinion, probably did shade it. I didn't think they would. I don't think either of us probably thought they would before a ball was pucked. But I think Cork's all failings, very, very loose in defence. 2 great goals by Clare, but also 2 pieces of poor enough defending in terms of trying to stop Tony Kelly and Mark Rogers for those goals. And Cork just giving up so many opportunities, as they had done time and time again this year. I don't think they conceded a free in the second half. Does that tell me something? It probably does. Nothing to do with Johnny. It just tells me that maybe they just are incapable at the moment of putting in a real, tough defensive performance. And you'll cough up frees when you do that, as Limerick have shown. But Cork very, very loose, and probably paid the ultimate price then on the day.
Yeah, but they paid a price in that, and I suppose for something that they feared in Cork is first of all, they were fearing a full 70-minute performance from Kelly. Yeah. And they had to live with 90 minutes of it, And Kelly's so hard to pick up, he's moving around, he's cropping up everywhere. I suppose Limerick have the best plan for him. Wherever he comes in, whoever is in that zone picks him up, But But look, I thought his goal was absolutely magic, as was Rob Downey's, mind you.
Yeah, fine,
Rob
bit of
Downey,
stickmanship,
Rob Downey, I thought got an absolutely fabulous goal. Fabulous goal. Like, he got that out of sheer power and sheer determination. A fantastic goal. Now, Tony Kelly's was just simply sublime skill. And Tom, later in the game, he got a point similar, where he flicked it over the head and, put it over onto his left,
There was a telling statistic, Matt, about Tony Kelly, right? He scored 1-4, and every time he scored, he put Clare ahead. He wasn't the fella that was, they were 5 points up and he was adding the sixth, It was when the game was to be won, and he basically almost won it in the 70 minutes with that point, as the pirouette or whatever you want to call it. And then he basically won it then in extra time as well with that point where he flicked it over the Cork defender. Like, I mean, like stuff you'd be doing in the Garden, like as a child, but actually, no, not the Garden, Croke Park, 83,000 people and all the rest of it. Like, that's.
Yeah, well, look, it was a joy to watch. But the hurling was, it was fantastic to look at. Like the pace that Cork brought and the colour that they brought to the whole occasion, like, contributed hugely. But it's poor consolation to them going away after being beaten by a point. They're beginning to say that now that there's a Clare hoodoo when they get to Croke Park for an All-Ireland final, because they have met twice in All-Ireland finals, and both times it has gone to Clare, and it needed a replay the first time, and it needed extra time this time, but Clare prevailed. And but I thought they did a decent enough job in Shane O'Donnell, but like, to me it was Kelly, that Rogers got a good goal, I thought. He worked very hard for it, and Shane O'Donnell did great work in the build-up for Aidan McCarthy's goal. You could say like that the goals, and there were 4 of them, that they were goals out of the top drawer, all 4.
Yeah, in their own very unique way, I guess. Yeah.
Like when we saw the goal that Rob Downey got, you'll be saying to yourself, we won't see a better goal this year. There wasn't a better goal this year, and my God, we hadn't long to wait to be proved wrong with Kelly's goal,
Yeah, 25, half an hour, about 30 minutes later, was it? 30 minutes of action anyway,
Yeah, there's some great goals scored, like Owen Cody got a great goal where he one-handed batted it into the net, and during the course of the year. So, great goals, But, the Lee McCarthy is in the banner now, and it's poor consolation to Cork, but they made a huge contribution to the game, I thought.
Yeah, and indeed to the season, in fairness. And
absolutely.
We do look at it with green tinted spectacles at times, but we must tip our hats to both those teams, and particularly Cork, the journey they were on, albeit at the end of Limerick's one. It sets it up nicely, Matt, next year, because you have, of course, we're sitting in the home of the 6-in-a-row Munster champions, and of course our neighbours now, Clare, with a renewed pep in their step, reigning league and indeed All-Ireland champions. So when Clare come to the Ennis Road, aptly named, I suppose, when they come to the Ennis Road next, I suppose it'll be springtime or early May, whichever way it falls, it's going to be electric anyway, whatever way we look at it. It's fantastic.
Oh, it is, and like they might need a reminder when they came to the Gaelic grounds before as champions, because we give them a reminder every week here in the introduction to our podcast with that Kieran Carey point,
The charge of the Light Brigade, well, I don't know, will Limerick be referred to as the Light Brigade next year, but firmly installed as favourites to reclaim their crown. But as we know, Cork, Clare, and indeed Tipperary and Waterford have plenty to say about that. But look, we'll move it along now.
That's for another year, Tom. We have a very busy time coming up here in Limerick with the championship kicking off this weekend with a couple of games in the Premier Intermediate Championship.
Yeah, just to mention it before we come to the Lions of Limerick Premier Intermediate, the Junior B League final last week. I don't have the photo to hand now, Matt, but a certain JP McManus was proud as punch as it were to present a bit of silverware to his own South Liberties. They defeated Granagh Ballingarry. I think you were at the game, Matt. So a nice little one for all that connected in the Souths for that one.
Well, it's testimony to the man that can't say like that. He's just an inter-county man. He's first of all a club man, and he watched the game from the stands, and And I think under a bit of duress, he presented the cup. He wanted to stand back, I think, but like
Right.
it just goes to show the man that is president of Limerick GA and our main sponsor, the type of man he is, that would be there supporting his club. It was an interesting game. It was decided by a Shane O'Neill goal, which came in the first half. The sides had been levelled 5 times in the first 25 minutes. And Shane O'Neill got a good goal. Now, he had a bit of work to do to get it. But after that, Granabellangary, they closed it to a single point on a number of occasions, but they just couldn't draw level, and as a consequence, just couldn't go ahead. And, coming down the home straight, Liberties were 3 up, and Jack O'Donoghue got a late point. But I would say on the balance of play that Liberties deserved it, but it was close now. It was tight, and I would expect that we will see a handful of players, I'd say, from both sides who will feature for Liberties in the Senior Championship and for Granabellangary in the Premier Intermediate Championship. But as a game of hurling, it was highly entertaining, some good hurling, maybe lacking a bit of intensity. If you came in and didn't know what was happening, you'd probably, for the most part, struggle to believe that it was Junior B.
Right. Yeah.
Because there was some very nice patches of hurling in it and some very nice incidents of hurling.
Yeah.
And it was played in a great sporting game, and David Deedy was the referee and handled it very well, and just bought into the idea of 2 teams that wanted to play hurling.
Yeah. Well, that's good to hear. And I suppose that concludes the league phase of hurling and football in Limerick for this season. But now, championship season. So the Lions of Limerick Premier Intermediate Championship, for those unacquainted, 8 teams, 7 rounds, top 4 into the semi-finals, and then of course the 2 of them, then the winning semi-finalists to battle it out for the ultimate prize in terms of a jump to senior level. Now, Matt, there's 3 games scheduled for this week. I think Bruff and Blackrock is postponed. That's a round 1 fixture postponed till sometime late in August, 23rd of August.
There's also very serious doubt surrounding the Glenroe the PIHC game going ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we at the moment, I suppose we don't have. It's
most unlikely to go ahead, but
Yeah. Well, we'll look at the fixtures in order as they are published on the Limerick GA website at the time of recording. Granabellangary, Newcastle West, a West Derby tomorrow evening, Thursday. Granabellangary returning to the grade, and I guess they'll have a pep in their step, but I suppose they'll know that improvement is always going to be needed when you come up a grade. So what better way to test it?
There has been momentum. It isn't as if Granabellangary came out of nowhere. They were beaten in 2 semi-finals, unluckily beaten in 2 semi-finals. And Tom, you will agree with me that, and because you and I were commentating on it, it was a fantastic intermediate hurling final.
Yeah, one of my favorite games across club and county last year, without doubt. Yeah,
and likewise here, and the whole atmosphere in Paddy Carroll Park that afternoon was just simply electric. And you had Croke Kilfinney on that particular day trying to avoid 3 defeats in a row in the county final, and you had Granabellangary. But I think Granabellangary have momentum. The one worry I would have about Newcastle West is that they didn't qualify for the knockout stages last year, having done so the previous 2 years.
Right. So they've,
so I'm just wondering, have they regressed? Or I'm just wondering, is the toll of having to juggle between hurling and football, beginning to catch up? I just don't know, because there is an overlap, not a huge overlap, but there are a number of key players who play both, and for that reason. But then, I just don't know. But I think Granabellangary have a wonderful chance of getting off to a winning start.
Yeah.
Because there's momentum with them, and it'll be very, very interesting to see if a certain Limerick captain of 2013 Munster final vintage will be turning out, I hear it in the grapevine that he will.
Right, yeah, that's
And that's one
a
Don
certain,
O'Grady.
yeah, a certain Don O'Grady Dodge. Did he get the contract extension? I'm sure there was one on the table. So did he sign it? Is the other thing. But yeah, I'd be interested to see.
1 year extension.
Yeah, a man who's, I suppose,
Yeah,
plays,
but like you saw the contribution he made in the county final when the chips were down.
yeah, wing back last year, and in a,
You know,
yeah,
and like when you're making a step up, it's somebody like Don O'Grady that you want to help you get through it.
yeah. And look, I don't know anything about his fitness. He does, I'm sure he always looks fit, but even if he's not playing or, lining out, he can certainly contribute on the line as well. A man of his experience and of his know-how, I'm sure will have plenty of place for Granda Ballingarry. So we'll see how he lines out. And indeed, Granda Ballingarry against Newcastle West, Sean Finn Park this Thursday evening. With a 7 p.m. throw. And you've mentioned Glenroe and the PIHC, a bit of doubt over that one. We'll probably have more on that next week as we get finality on it. But I suppose broad strokes, Matt, in terms of these two teams, top of my head now, I don't think either of them made a major impact on the championship last year. And the PIHC, I think, won their first two games, but after that, then I suppose, wouldn't say fell off a cliff, but just couldn't pick it up.
Their first game was against Glenroe.
Yeah, and then they picked up.
They come back to win it.
Yeah.
And, they didn't win after that. They just had 4 points, I think, but Glenroe struggled. All Glenroe got was 2 wins as well. They got a win over Cappamore, and then they got a surprise win over Blackrock in the concluding round, I think. And, what 2024 will hold for either of those clubs in the Premier Intermediate Championship, I do not know. I know Glenroe have lost a number of players to retirement.
Yeah.
Some of the players that have served the club with have given great service over the years, and they will be a loss. No matter, and we spoke about it in the context of Don O'Grady, no matter at club, no matter how much, people would have played, no matter how much miles are on the clock of fellas that have given long service, when the call comes to retire, they are a huge loss.
Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah.
It's the fact that they've been part and parcel of it for so long. They have an influence in the dressing room. They have an influence inside the white lines. And I'm afraid that Glenroe now would have lost 2 or 3 of some of the real experienced players, which would be, I think would be a challenge. Now, but the PIHC, obviously, of course, Tom would have a much bigger turnover of players.
Yeah, given their second team, of course.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting. We'll obviously talk about what the fallout of it will be next week.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I think both these sides, without question, will want to go a little bit better and be aiming for a top 4 in some shape or form. That's probably the target this year. But I guess we'll see once the ball is thrown in where they may lie in the rankings. The other game, or the final game in this round, I suppose that's scheduled for this weekend anyway at the time of speaking, is Effin and Gary Spillane. Now there's obviously plenty of South teams in this championship. Effin and the Bouncers. Now I've been told a certain man by the name of Diarmuid Ryan is at the helm, and he told me that himself, so he seems to be at the helm for the Bouncers. Coming back from senior, they're hoping obviously that relegation is forgotten about, as it were, and that there's a new bounce in the Bouncers. I suppose playing Effin first day out, that's a nice one to get the juices flowing, isn't it?
Sure. Look, I'm looking forward to it all the week. I'm covering it on Saturday night, and really, really looking forward to it, because it's going to be a right juicy game, as you said. And we'll have a certain Nicky Quaid, who we should congratulate, along with Kyle Hayes, on being named as on the Sunday game team of the year.
Yeah.
And take issue with those who selected that team as to how, in God's name, that they could exclude Aaron Gillan. But that's for another day. Don't draw me into All-Stars, please, Tom.
I haven't said a word. Yeah.
No.
But anyway, Nicky Quaid probably playing at centre back, or we would.
Oh yeah,
expect anyway
absolutely. Sure.
for
He's
FM, yeah.
a fantastic outfield player, you know, and you'll have Fergal O'Connor and you'll have Mark Quinlan playing. Like, you know, the teams are well dotted. I find it hard to get a fix on Gareth Spillane. I saw him in the South Senior hurling final earlier on this year, and they were they were comfortably beaten by Kilmallock, I would say.
Yeah.
But it was the Kilmallock team that was minus. It was minus
7, 8.
all their county players and others on the night. But there was a few things that I liked about him. Like the spirit of Diarmuid Ryan is going to be worth a few points. Trust me, I saw him at first hand that night, you know, and you know he lives every ball, he pokes every ball, he hand passes even though if there's separation or not with his team, like you know, he's that kind of a guy. But I think Effin are seasoned, and Effin had a very good campaign last year.
Yeah,
Tom, I think they won 6
semi-final, was it?
games. Drummond and Clacker were the only team to beat him. They beat him in round 2. Now they were surprisingly beaten by Blackrock in the semi-final. You know,
that's at the same venue, wasn't it? In Brough, I believe, as well.
In Brough, and it was a day when I thought that Blackrock in particular got all the matchups right.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, and they very carefully ensured that as little ball as possible would go up the centre. The area that Captain Nicky Quaid inhabits when he's playing for Effin, you know.
That's a smart play, isn't it?
And of course, they've Pat O'Donovan.
Yeah.
You know,
Sharpshooter. Yeah.
a sharpshooter, and he's going to take some watching. I find it hard to call this one, but if I was pushed, I'd say Effin by a hair's breadth, you know?
Right. I guess the joy of this competition, given that they have 7 group games as opposed to 5 in the senior grade, and you know half the teams get in and half the teams don't, is first day out isn't going to define your season. Now, obviously, it'll help, I'm sure, to pick up a precious 2 points, but I think that's the luxury or the freedom of this grade in so much as it is you can have a freedom of a championship game, but there is a bit of wiggle room here, you know. I think that's what these teams will like. They can draft the shackles a bit from day one.
Yeah, they can, but I'd be just reading the paper today. Like I'm just wondering about the sustainability of having a competition with 7 group games, because they're talking now of having the split season going on until August. Which is going to condense somewhat the club season. The club season, they're talking of abolishing the pre-season tournaments and all this sort of thing. But this committee and that committee, there are far more things that these committees would be better engaged doing, you know, than trying to fix some things that are not broken. You know,
and they're not going to affect to these
for instance,
competitions.
playing extra time in the All-Ireland final. You know,
let's not go there. We'll disagree on that, but let's not go there.
But,
okay.
Oh no, I'm happy to disagree with you, Tom, and call you out.
Yeah, well, I had no issue with the extra time at the weekend, but maybe that's just me.
No, but are we going to have another change? And there's supposed to be talk of change in the football. The provincial finalists are going directly to the quarterfinal. Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
and then with a four groups of 3, with 2 going through. Where's the jeopardy?
What I would say about all that, and I know sometimes things do need to change, but like if we go back 25 years, we'll call it 1999. Mark Landers is climbing the steps and all that for Cork, you know, and then one too many since. But like, how many changes have we had in both codes of formats? You know, I mean, like, you know, we're never going to step on the magic one, it seems, because they're just going to keep changing it. You know, do we put 5 in Leinster? Do we put 6 in Munster? Blah, blah. You know, we can go on and on and on. I just think the GA needs to try and settle on something for.
But no, it's very interesting now, Tom. I have to make 2 points about 1999.
Oh, yeah.
I remember it distinctly. somebody came up with the harebrained idea that the McCarthy Cup would not be presented in the Hogan stand.
Yeah. So Mark
And
Landers is he alone in collecting the McCarthy Cup on the pitch?
He's a lone soldier in that regard.
Yeah.
Which was a scandal. And the scandal, in my view, was compounded last Sunday with the shameful and paltry coverage of RTE of the Jubilee team.
Yeah. Did BBC give it any coverage?
On hurling's biggest day, deserve more exposure than that.
Yeah. That's fair enough. Do you know if the BBC, I haven't actually the answer, but did the BBC give it any coverage? I know it probably wasn't.
I don't know.
They mightn't have been on air even at that point. I know it was early in the broadcast.
Significance of it, they may not have it grabbed yet.
Yeah, I think there's a very easy fix there, and I know they have go games at halftime, but those two things can run in tandem. You just maybe make the go games pitch a little bit smaller, call out the players' names and that, and then you start the main event, the main halftime event, as it were, the Jubilee team, and let that be the spectacle, because those interested in the go games primarily are the parents of the go games players and a little bit beside them. But the majority of the Cork crowd last week would have been fixated on Sean Og and Jimmy Barry Murphy and all of those, So
Brian Corcoran and Fergie Ryan and the whole lot of them. It was Timmy McCarthy. Jesus, Ben O'Connor. He was the youngest member of that team.
I don't know, of course. Well, yeah, another young man. Yeah, just I know they'll have it fixed, Matt, by the time Declan Hannon and the lads head up there in what year will it be? 2043.
I'll be gone to the man above, Tom.
You could look down. I know 25 years, or what is it now? 19 years away now. You'll be still with us, Matt. No doubt.
I won't be arguing with whoever is doing 1,950 podcast or whatever to be.
We'll bring you back for that one. It's particular for the 25 years after with John Kiley.
No, seriously, Tom. I just mentioned that thing about Mark Landers in passing. He, to a certain degree, he was deprived of a special moment.
Yeah.
Because
to climb the steps, as it were. Yeah.
You hear in the FA Cup final climbing the 39 steps to get the FA Cup.
Yeah, and they've not broken with tradition. I know they were out of the stadium for a few years, but when they redesigned the new stadium, they didn't ignore it, and they still allow the players. It might be a little bit more than 39 steps now, is or is it? I don't know, but yeah, that's tradition has its place.
But these gentlemen that have been promised 750 million of our money over the next 3 years, i.e. RTE, should wake up.
Okay, fair enough. There it is. Yeah, Matt, we've other local business to cover. Saoirse Bulfin was yesterday announced as the new Banish store of on Irvy, Westmeath. That is, of course. Saoirse, of course, Matt. So for so long was, I suppose, David Fitzgerald's right hand man at different counties and teams and clubs and colleges, but took the step to go to Meath, I think last season was it, and stepped away at the start of 2024, but is now back into Banish Doors bib at intercounty level. So is this a good move for Saoirse to head up?
I think it is. I know Saoirse quite well, and I would actually love if he would come on our podcast some morning, and because he's so knowledgeable about the game, that he's worth listening to, but. Like Tom, his record to a degree is unparalleled, because his management career now, as a player, he played with Bruff, he played minor with Limerick, and he played with Mary I in the Fitzgibbon Cup, and he was captain of that Fitzgibbon Cup team in 2003. Now, as a mentor, he and Davy Fitz contributed to LIT winning 2 Fitzgibbon Cups. I think it was
2007, was it maybe?
2007, 2009.
Yeah.
And then he moved with David Fitz to Waterford. Spent 5 years there. Then came back to Clare, helped Clare win a National League after 40 years almost. And then above all, helped them to win an All-Ireland in 2013. Moved to Wexford, helped them to win a Leinster Championship in 2019.
Yeah.
And then the partnership seemed to break up, and he went out on his own in 2022 to manage Meath, you know. And the first present he gave Meath was a Christy Ring Cup success.
Yeah.
And now he has moved on to Westmeath. In between, he has made a big contribution to Camogie. He guided Ballygran to county senior success in 2011, captained by his wife Sharon. And he guided Bruff to intermediate honours in 2020. So Shorsha has a CV that most people would die for. And I'd like to wish him every success with Westmeath.
Absolutely, yeah. 2005 and 2007 was the years that LIT claimed the Fitzgibbon honours with Saoirse and, of course, Davy Fitz at the helm. So we'll see how that one plays out. They're not in Limerick's group in the National League. I think they would have been, I suppose, demoted, as it were, to the second tier. So there won't be crossing paths on that road with him, but just yet.
With Jordan at the helm, they may not be too long down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, could
have
change
it here
over time.
first.
Yeah, that's it. Just it's a few other small bits and pieces. The Masters football match, footballers were playing their last game last weekend. They were defeated by Kerry in Drumcolour. I think a comfortable-ish win for the Kingdom, and it brings to the end.
No, it wasn't a comfortable win because Limerick were pretty well out of it in the first half. They only scored a point, but halfway through the second half, the sides were level at 6 points apiece.
Right. Kerry
got 1-4. In many ways, it mirrors when they met in Park Eden Efa in Rahina last year, because with less than 10 minutes to go, going down the home straight, Limerick led.
Yeah.
But they were eventually overtaken by Kerry. But Limerick are through to a semi-final. For anybody that doesn't know, there's 23 teams in the competition. The top 20 will qualify for semi-finals. Top 4, second 4, third 4, fourth 4, fifth 4. Now, we were in the fifth 4, the Spirit Cup last year. We're guaranteed of being in that already this year. But it's contingent on a number of results for those that got a bye along the way. Those games are being played on Saturday.
Yeah, so Limerick have the bye now, yeah.
Limerick's position could be altered in that they could move up to level 4. So we won't be able to talk about it with any degree of certainty until those games are played. And by next week, I would hope that we would be in a position to know that Limerick are playing such and such a county in such and such a one. But on another point, as we're speaking about Masters, Kerry have withdrawn from the Masters, from the hurling Masters. And now there are only 6 teams left, and the competition fixtures haven't been made, but they're imminent. And I believe that I'm certain, because I was talking to Paul Butler, who is the manager, that the competition will start on the 31st of August.
Okay, yeah. So we'll wait for confirmation, I guess, the fixtures for those. But not ideal if the team is pulling out before the ball is pucked. But look, I suppose maybe better than them pulling out mid-competition. Okay, I think that about covers it, Matt, unless you have any other notes. I know I'm just wishing Ballysteen the best with their 7th competition this weekend coming. I know I think they've filled anyway. They've sold out all the places, so I'm sure plenty of Limerick involvement with the different teams there will follow up with news of the results of it, and I'm sure a busy night in store off the pitch as well for with the barbecue and all that goes with it. So wishing them the best with that one. Anything else from you, Matt? At this point?
We could have somebody coming from down under to attend.
Well, first I heard of it.
a certain Jack Neville. I couldn't imagine it being there without him, but maybe it will.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I'm sure we'll find out pretty soon. Listen, thanks very much, Matt. We must thank again Diarmuid for his contribution. Congratulations to the Camogie under-16s on their title win. And thanks to you for listening. Be sure to share the podcast around. And thanks a million. This has been in association with Noel's Menswear. It's been Treaty Talk episode 290.